How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. Today we're gonna make some steamed soup dumplings, and it's filled with pork and soup inside. So when you bite into it, you can kind of slurp it, and there's all this juice inside for you to drink. It originated in Shanghai, and in a lot of Chinese restaurants they would call it Xiao Long Bao, or a lot of people like to call them XLBs. So we're gonna make the skin, we're going to make the soupy part and also the filling, and I'm gonna wrap them and steam them all for you guys. I'm gonna start with this unbleached bread flour. You need to use bread flour so it's a little bit more chewy because it has a higher level of protein in it. So I got 2 cups of that bread flour in here, and I'm gonna add about 2/3 cups of water in, dash of salt in it, and just mix it slowly. It's all mixed up now, and I've covered it in saran wrap. Let it rest for about an hour in the fridge before you start making the wrapper. So I have about a pound of pork here with the skin on. What I'm gonna do is remove the skin from all these pieces. You may not have it in cubes like this, like me. So in that case, just remove the skin along with the fat. What we're going to do is make a pork skin soup. The pork skin will actually turn very jelly-like after you boil it for a long time. You want to leave in a little bit of fat, but not as much as you see here. We cut some ginger and some green onion. Cut it into maybe 1-inch chunks like this. So boil about 2 cups of water and put your pig skin in there, along with some ginger, some green onion, a couple dash of this fish sauce for taste, about a tablespoon of Shaoxing rice wine. So bring this to a slow boil and do it for about an hour and a half to let all the pork skin dissolve into the water to make a jelly. So if you have a food processor, use that. I'm just gonna use this mini one to grind up my pork. So you put the lid on and you just let it rip. Put about 1 portobello mushroom in with the minced pork. It'll actually make it so that each piece of pork, it'll kind of separate it a little bit so that the pork will taste more tender and it'll give it a nice aroma. So just start by removing the little stem here, just peel it off like this. We don't eat that. And just cut it into pieces. And I'm gonna blend it again inside this thing. So you see, after you blend it all up, it's just this dark mashed up mushroom. Grate about 1 tablespoon of ginger. This fiber stuff that's left over, don't put that in, just put in the grated stuff. I'm reusing the bowl that I made the dough with so I don't have to wash extra dishes. 2 teaspoons of light soy sauce. 1, 2. 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. And 1 teaspoon of sugar. So here I'm going to cut up 2 stalks of green onion. I might even just cut it into 4, so it'll take me less time to cut the whole thing. And then you just squeeze them together and just mince them. Cut them up a little bit more because we want it to be kind of minced up inside the dumpling. So I'm gonna put in the 2 tablespoons of green onion here. You just mix it all up. Add about ½ a cup of water in it. The meat will actually absorb all this water. Makes it a little easier to mix around too. Cover this up. It's about an hour and a half now, and the soup looks about the same, but if you cool it, it'll turn into a jelly now. Let's see how it tastes. Tastes pretty good. I'm just gonna remove some of this ginger because I don't want to blend this in there. Let me take all these pork skin and blend it. We're gonna incorporate all this pork skin back into the batter. Alright. There is a little bit of fat in here, so if you want to make it less fatty, you can remove more of the fat before you blend it. Put it in here. Now this itself is kind of fatty. It's kind of like ramen broth. And just refrigerate this and turn this into a jelly first. Just add that to the filling and mix it all up. So I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to solidify it a little bit more. Here's my dough. I'm just going to take it out and just take out half of it for now. Now keep in mind, all this is bread flour, water, and some salt. Roll this up to be about this big. You want each piece of dough to be about the size of your thumb. So I'd say about this big. We've got 4 pieces here. Now we get some flour to make it not sticky. Put some flour on your rolling pin. So here is your 1 piece of dough. We're gonna make 1 wrapper with this. Try to get it as thin as possible. Make it to about 4 inches in diameter. And then I'm gonna put about 1 tablespoon of the meat in here. So I like to put the skin on the table and fold it this way. You just make a whole bunch of little folds like this. Bring it over to the center of the meat and make a whole bunch of little folds. Every single fold, squeeze it a little bit so that it gets together. And then you just keep on doing it. Make, I don't know, 20, 30 little folds all the way around. Like so. And then when you get to the very end, pinch it together and turn it. And you got your dumpling. Now set this aside and you're ready to make another one. Put about 1 tablespoon in there. Make sure you don't walk off, because if you keep on folding it, you might kind of add the folds all the way over here. So just make sure you use it at the same spot. Fold it at the same spot like this. I don't know where I was. 10, 11, 12, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. There's your second one. I'm prepping the plate for steaming the dumplings. I don't have a steamer, so I'm just gonna use this plate. Just take a couple of leaves of Napa cabbage, wash them first. Take the leafy part of it and put it all around the bottom so that the dumpling won't stick to the bottom. Because if it sticks to the bottom and you rip it, the soup will just fall all over the place and you won't be able to drink your soup. Okay, boil some water. Put your dumplings in there. And steam it for about 8-9 minutes. Just take one of these out and put it on your spoon very carefully so the soup doesn't leak out. Cut a couple of slices like this and then just thinly shred them. Put 1 spoon of vinegar in here, 1 spoon of water to dilute it a little bit, and 1 spoon of dark soy sauce. 1 more spoon of vinegar. You put some of the sauce on there, the vinegary sauce, and then you just bite off the top so you can reveal the inside like that. And you can see the inside has a bunch of soup in there. You can slurp this and then you can proceed to eat it with some ginger. So that's all there is to it, XLBs. Let's try this. There is a little bit of soup in here. So every time I make something, I would eat it and I would go, you know, it could do a little bit better here, a little bit better there. Notice the skin could be a little bit chewier. And I realized making XLB is hard because you can be off a little bit in the recipe and it would completely change how the XLB tastes. With this particular recipe, I noticed the skin could be a little bit chewier, which means you need to make the skin so that it has less water content, so that when you handle the dough, you can't feel moisture in it. One good way to tell is to use the rolling pin and you roll it, and that it shouldn't stick to your rolling pin that much. It should stick a tiny little bit. It turns out that when you're making dough, it's easier to add more water to it than adding more flour, because the dough ball, when you add more flour, it just coats the outside and it can't get into it. Whereas when you add more water, the outside would soak up the water easily and then you can mix it. The second thing I noticed is that you can add a little bit more portobello mushroom, probably twice as much even, to make the mushroom flavor a bit stronger. And also when you make the soup, you need more pork rind, more pork skin in order to make it congeal more. Is because I noticed the meat is soaking up a lot of the liquids. So when it's soaked it up, it won't release it back out after you cook it so that it will be soupy outside. The trick to it is that you want to add water content to it in the form of a gelatin so that it would actually release when you're steaming it. When you add water, it just gets soaked into the pork and it won't get released. It'll just taste like a juicy pork, but it won't have soup surrounding it. To me, this recipe is pretty good already, but I think I can make it better, so I'm gonna make another video later when I perfected this recipe. Don't forget to give me a like, comment down below if you have any questions about this recipe, and don't forget to subscribe over here. Thanks for watching.